Alright, so today we're going to take you through building the three-legged stand. Okay, this is construction 1140. And we'll start by building the legs. We have to glue up the top, and then we'll make the lower and upper spacer basically together at the same time. So we're going to build this out of poplar today. So let me show you the poplars over on the wood rack over here. So this is a template for the leg. We've got to make 3 of these. Now our hardwood comes in various sizes, random widths anyhow. So you have to find a piece that you can fit 3 of these on. So every piece is going to be different. There's not one set way to lay this out like in the book. So what we have to do is we just have to grab a piece and we'll see the most efficient way to use it. So grab this one. So I don't know how wide this is, I don't really care. But what I want to do is I want to try and lay this out so I get 3 of them on here. So I want to go right to the edge, and here we'll just trace this. And this is what I would like you to do as well. Trace it out. So there's one leg. Here would be where our second leg would fit. And with any luck, we'll get a third right there, and that'll be a very efficient layout for these legs. And yeah, so this one worked. We got 3 just like that, with room to spare. There we go. So we would get 3 legs fairly easily out of this piece of material. We'll cut it off a little long, like right about here. And then we're ready to mill this up. Okay, so let's say we grabbed a different piece and it was wider or narrower. Let's take a look here. What do we have handy? So take a look at this piece. It's got some defects on it and things like that, but that's okay. But you can see that it's narrower. So when you grab a piece of hardwood, always make sure that you don't start right at the end. If it's a painted end, that means it's come from the mill. So there could be a whole bunch of internal cracking in here, which is called checking. So cut off about, estimate cutting off about 3 centimeters. So about there. So let's see how the legs are going to fit on this one. So we can get it like that, or should we go like this? Let's try like this. I think this will be the most efficient. So we have one there. We have another one there, but you can already see we're not going to get 3 across the width, and that's okay. So we'll have to use more length. So what we could do, we have all this material, maybe we can go like this. Fit this one on like that. Maybe this is more efficient. I think I like this one a little better. So we'll go to there. We don't even have to trace this third one on. We know that we're going to need this length over here. So we're going to cut this off about right here. We'll be good. Okay? So don't worry that this one's not traced on, because we're going to mill this up and all those lines are going to be gone anyhow. Okay, so why don't we do a quick milling on this, and we'll be ready to cut these out. Alright, so we've got our piece that we're going to use for the legs. Let's find the crown. The crown is this edge. And then we have to find out if this surface is going to go on the table or if this surface is going to be on the table. So we now look at it this way. And I want to put the convex curve down onto the table. So this is my convex curve. This is my crown. So I have to put this up and this crown against the fence. So I will have to, in this case, rotate the piece and put my crown against the fence and my convex shape down. Left hand in position, pushing against the fence and holding the piece down flat against the table. Thumb tucked in, not out, like that. That's how people cut their thumbs off. Keep your thumb in tight. And we don't have to cut right on this line. This is just a rough cut. So start your saw all the way down. And there we go. There's our rough piece. And now we're going to take it and we're going to joint and plane the surfaces. Then we're going to do the edges, and then we're going to start cutting out the shapes. All right, so we have to adjust our fence. So undo the lock, 2 hands, move this back till we have enough room for our piece to fit. So give yourself about an extra centimeter. And where you can really look at that is right here at the pivot of the guard. You always want about a centimeter extra in there. That gives us enough blade, and we don't have too much blade exposed. Lock the fence in place. Get your push paddle, put it at the front. One more thing. We have to put our lines across here so we know when things are flat. Okay, so just like so. Then when all those lines are gone, then it's flat, and then we'll go to the thickness planer. Push paddle at the front, wide push stick at the back. Make sure your dust collection is on. Turn it on, and let's join it. Leave your left hand right here. See, our lines are gone to a certain extent. Still see some rough patches in here. Let's give this one more pass. Suspect now that it's perfectly flat. It is, and it's now ready to go over to the thickness planer. So now the thickness planer, we put our lines across the rough surface and the flat side down. So in this case, the knives are on the top of this. The lines didn't show up very well. I want those nice and all the way across and dark so I can see them. Just like that. Our thickness, I'm going to look at it. My thickest part looks like it's right in the middle here. So we're at 2.7 mils. And we'll just check down over here and see what it is here. And we're at 2.7 mils. So we will set our planer to 3 centimeters. There, we're right at 3 centimeters on the ruler. Okay, the top of this red pointer is right even with 3 centimeters. Turn it on. See how we do. You can tell the dust collector is not on right now with all these chips flying out. That's just so I don't have to shout over it during the videos. Took off just a little bit of a high spot at the back. Another half turn, we should get quite a bit coming off this pass. So you can see we had some high spots in the center of the board and down here. Another pass, that should get wider. this piece, it's flat. We've removed all the lines, and it's heavier than 3/4. So if we can keep it, the thicker you can keep it, the stronger the legs will be, the longer this stand will last for you. All right, and now we're gonna go and we'll do our width. All right, so now we're done step 1 of milling. Now we have to do step 2. We have to clean up our edges and straighten the edges. So we're back at the jointer. Loosen that off. Bring your fence over to about there. Again, we should have about a centimeter or so extra in here. Let's go just a bit closer. There we go. Lock it in place, and then we have about a centimeter here. You don't have to measure it, you're just eyeballing it. All right, let's put lines on the bottom edge. And this is my concave edge. In place like that. Grab your skinny push stick and the push paddle. The arrow of the push paddle, use that instead of using a finger, which isn't very safe. We use this to really pinpoint our pressure. Push stick at the back, and we'll run her through here. Giving lots of pressure on your front hand. Like so. But here, I'll just show you hand positioning one more time. Put it in there. Left hand putting lots of pressure against the fence. Okay, and we're referencing against the fence. Push stick at the back and feed it through. And now your left hand can just stay there, keeping lots of pressure, but still allowing the piece of material to slide through. And there's our nice straight edge. And then we'll take it to the table saw and we'll cut off the opposite edge. All right, once we get to the table saw, we want to set our blade height. So loosen off the lock nut, bring the gullet. So this groove right here, about 3 millimeters above your material. About there is good. And that helps to extract the sawdust and to keep the blade cool. Lock that back up. Now our width, in this case, we're going to keep it as wide as we can. Down here, we're at 6 3/8. And down here, we're at 6 3/8-ish. So we'll go a little less than 6 3/8. Set your fence. Make sure you lock it in place. Get your push stick ready. Drop the guard down. Turn it on. Left hand tight against the material. Push stick back here. And let's feed it in. Squeeze hard with the left hand, grab the push stick, put it roughly in the center of your board, all the way through. There. Shut it off. Wait for it to stop, and then step 2 is now complete. And on the foolproof method of milling, we don't have to worry about the length. Next step is we're going to trace on the template. The leg template. Okay, so we've got our milled piece of material. Now we want to get that onto here. We want to trace it on and go as close to the edge as you can. And the ends, it doesn't really matter, just in there somewhere. Hold it in place real firmly. Trace it. Like that. There we go, there's one. Then give yourself about, I don't know, 1/2 centimeter, 1/4 of an inch space between the two, and trace it to the second one. And then we know that 3 will fit on here because we figured that out earlier. And we'll trace the third one on. There we go. Now we'll go over to the bandsaw and we'll cut these out. All right, now over the bandsaw, first thing we have to do is we have to get our guidepost set to the right height. Guidepost or guard post. There we go. Now what I like you to do is just do a couple practice runs. Give yourself a couple of extra lines over here. just that are similar to what you're going to be doing. So I'll do one fairly straight like that, just as a practice. I won't show you the practice, but this is where you can do it, is in this extra wood. Maybe down here, draw a couple curves similar to what you're going to be doing. And do a couple practices on these. And once you feel comfortable with it, then go on to your actual cut of the leg. So we'll start that up and we'll cut out a leg. So we want to cut just to the waist side of the line. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to cut and try and be about 1 or 2 millimeters over from my actual object line. So let's see how I do here. So nice and close like that, and then you're accurate and you have room to sand. Getting a little far away, let's get a little closer, there we go. Alright, so I would just continue cutting all of these and just really try and make sure that you save your line. So you save your line right there and you cut a little bit, 1 or 2 mils over from your object line. If you go too much, like in some places I got a little far away, maybe there, okay, you want to try and keep it within a couple of mils, and then it limits how much sanding you have to do. Okay, so I'll cut all 3 of these out, but you don't have to watch all that. Okay, we're just going to finish up these cuts. This is just the end of the last one. Cut that nice and straight. So go slow, take your time, be as accurate as you can be. There we go. So we want 3 just like that. Alright, so now we want to sand this. We want to get rid of all the bandsaw marks. But if we can, we'd like to save our line. Okay? We want to be accurate, but we want to keep this leg as beefy as possible. So we're going to use both the drum end and the straight area. So we'll be able to do the straights here and the convex on here to a certain extent, and then most of the rest of it will have to do with the drum. Okay, remember the belt direction is this way, so don't jam that in like that or it's going to get caught and torn out of your hands. So it's going to look like this. Flip it over, do that a little bit, and check it. Still have some bandsaw marks. There we go. And right down, I can barely see my line, but that's okay. Now we'll have to come over to the drum and do most of the rest. Right down to the line. Nice and slow. Look, we got rid of all our bandsaw marks. So again, I would just do the rest of this on the same tool. Okay, but I won't show it all to you. So just get on there and finish sanding. Have a firm hold with your right hand when you do this. So this doesn't happen. Even though we can still see the line, that's okay. We've gotten rid of all of our bandsaw marks. That's what we want. And that's it. Okay, so now once you have your 3 legs all shaped and sanded, now it's time to start laying out where we're going to put some holes. So first off, mark them so that you have an A, B, and a C. And mark on the top, not on the bottom. Okay, on the top. So we have A, B, C. Now I'll show you how to do the layout. So make sure you work from the top. That's the way the instructions are. So what you want to do is we want to make intersecting lines where these 2 holes are going to be drilled on each one. All right. So This one is 3/8 of an inch down, and then this one is 10 inches down from the top. I have no idea what it is from the bottom. We don't measure it from the bottom, we measure from the top. Okay, so we will mark that. So measure down 3/8 of an inch. If you're working in metric, 3/8 of an inch is 1 centimeter in metric. Put a line across, like so. Then measure down 10 inches. Make your line, and then make your square line across. Like that. Measure how thick your leg is. This I like to do in metric. So I have 2.4. Half of 2.4 is 1.2 centimeters. Right there. Like that. And obviously if it's 1.2 down here, it's going to be 1.2 up here. And that's what you're looking for. So that's going to be for these 2 holes. So do that to A, B, and C, and then we'll drill them. All right, it's now time to drill the counter bores and the through hole in your legs. So we want to drill our counter bore 3/8 of an inch in, or deep. So we're going to set our bit, just the blade, right at 3/8. Put a piece of masking tape on. That's our poor man's depth stop. Like so. And we're going to drill in till the tape hits the surface of this leg. So we'll chuck it up. Put it in the vise. So. There. Get the little point of the bit right on your intersecting line. Get it straight up and down and drill it in. Right to there. And then, since we're set up here, we'll do our 3/16 through hole. So 3/16 in there, straight up and down, and drill it all the way through. I'll show you one other way to do it on the drill press, but that's how you do it by hand. Okay, we're at the drill press, so I'll show you another way to drill the hole using the drill press to get to the right depth. So first of all, we have to put our bit in the chuck. Well, looks like we're gonna have to lower the table. So loosen this off just till it's loose, and that's good. You don't have to spin it around a bunch of times. Then let's come to the crank and we'll lower the table. Make sure you unlock the table before you start cranking it, or you'll ruin the gear mechanism. Let's put the bit in, tighten that up by hand so it sticks, and then use the chuck key and tighten that bit in there so the depth doesn't change or it gets loose. There we go, replace that. Now, we want to set the drill bit so that it drills in 3/8 of an inch. So the way we do it here on the drill press is we mark it on the outside at 3/8 of an inch. And use a ruler for this, it works better. So 3/8 of an inch is right there. Draw yourself a little line. I'll do it in felt just so it's easier to see. Now, we want to get the bottom of the bit, not the point, but the blades down even with your line. Once you get it there, just like that, then you have to adjust your depth stop. And this one's really close, and that was just by fluke. So let's get it there, okay? Hold the feed lever real steady, then come up here to the depth stop and wind the depth stop, the bottom nut, right to that stop. And that's where it's going to stop, and it won't go in any further, and then just lock it in place with the upper nut. Just like so. Now, we're ready to drill. So don't line things up too much with it turned off. So let's turn it on. And it's a 3/8 bit, so our chart tells us we have to be going about 900 RPM. Okay, so 900 RPM for 3/8 bit, and we'll crank that up till about 900. Oh, it's a little fast. There we go. All right, so now you'll be able to see the point of the drill bit while it's rotating. So this is when you line things up. So get it placed close, and bring your drill bit down and check that it's going to go on your intersecting lines. Got to go a little bit further that way. There we go. Once you have it lined up, now's the time to plunge in. So in, so right there. Pull it out. And that's how we drill with the drill press for our counter bores. So I'll do the rest here right away. All right, so I have all of those drilled. So now it's time to do the through hole. So these are called counter bores, they're done. Now we need a hole all the way through, and we're gonna have to remove the 3/8 Forstner. Get out. Replace it with the 3/16 brad point, put it in there. Always grab it on the shank. Don't grab it down here on the flutes. So I'll put just the shank into the jaws. Tighten it up by hand. Use your chuck key and get it good and tight. Place the chuck key. Now for a 3/16 brad point bit, we need about 1000 RPM. All right, so we'll need that. We need to set that eventually, but right now we want to set our depth again, because right now the drill's not going to go all the way through. So we don't actually have to put a mark on anything. We need to make sure that this bit goes all the way into this scrap table, into this piece of wood. So what we do is we'll back our depth stop quite a ways off. We want this, the end of this bit, to go into our scrap by, I don't know, a couple mils. There, that's good, as long as it doesn't go through. Okay, just like that. Now, again, we will line things up once it's running. So we'll turn it on. We'll set it to about 1000 RPM. There we go. Get your bit in there. And there's already a center point in there made from the Forstner bit, and it'll kind of find it, get it close, drill through, and empty that one out, and then this one. Gave up too early. And there you have your counter bores with the through hole in place. So we'll do that to all of them, and then we'll put it together. All right, so the legs have been completed. Now it's time to make the top. So we have to make the top out of either 2 or 3 pieces, depending on how wide a piece we've selected from the poplar rack. So this piece is just under 6 inches, and our rough size is 12 by 12. So this will work good, because we'll glue this one, and then we'll take another length and we'll cut this one, and we'll end up with a piece 12 by 12. So let's go over to the miter saw and get this cut. All right, so first thing again we want to do is we want to find the crown. Oh, this one's really noticeable. So this is my crown here. And holding it this way, which way is the convex? The convex is there, so this side's going to go up. So that just was lucky that I had it put in the right position right from the start. So when we're starting with a fresh piece that has never been cut to length other than that the sawmill, we want to cut off the first Couple of centimeters, so about there. Doesn't have to be measured, just estimate it. Bring it over here. The reason we do this is because when wood dries, we tend to get cracking in the end. Sometimes you can't see it until you cut it. So we're going to cut this piece. Now, what you want to look for actually is you want to look at the rim, the kind of the piece you've cut off, and look and see if you see any cracks. And if you don't, it's good to go. If you do, cut another 2 centimeters off and then inspect it. They'll probably be gone. If you cut off again, let me take a look at it and we'll decide what we're going to do about that defect. Okay, so we're good to start. So again, this is our rough size. So we'll cut 12-inch piece. Okay. Come over and we'll cut 2 of these. Then mark your second one and let's cut it. There we go, we have our 2 pieces that eventually we're going to get glued together just like that, and that will make our top or seat.